On this episode of the Brilliant Humans podcast, I'm joined by Hendrika Willemse, speaker, moderator, author, podcast host, and partner at Storyo. Hendrika spent more than 23 years in tech and over a decade building businesses, combining strategy, mindset, and execution to help people and organizations create extraordinary results. She speaks on big stages, writes about high performance, and has a reputation for challenging old ways of thinking in pursuit of faster, smarter growth. And if you're wondering where that drive comes from, Hendrika is also a 3-time world champion and 2-time European champion in karate. So we won't mess with her. Today, she's here to talk about a brilliant human whose vision on life and belief we should all live life to the fullest has shaped the way she sees the world. Let's dive in. Welcome, Hendrika.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Oh my gosh, this introduction.
Oh, well, I mean, fully deserved. And look, there's so much I want to jump into, but 2 times world champion, 3 times European champion, or no, the other way around, 3 times world champion. And sorry, I mean,
no, it's okay.
Talk about that. What? I mean, there's 2 different styles of karate, isn't there? So which style did you do?
I did Wado Ryu karate. So that's semi-contact because I thought the full contact was like a bit too much for me. And I mean, the story's nice and glamorous, right? But I started karate because I got bullied in high school, and I really actually thought that I need to learn how to stand up for myself because I was like, I'm not very tall, still not, but then I was like really teeny tiny, right? So I was this really young girl when I went to high school. So, the story's really nice. The start was a bit more challenging, but
What it led to. I mean, out of adversity. I mean, what a story. Now, when I saw you on stage at Beyond in Amsterdam in 2025, and I was just blown away by you. I thought you were a brilliant human. So I contacted you. You kindly agreed to come on here, and you've got a great story to share, or a couple of stories to share. So why don't we get it going? Hendrika, who is your brilliant human?
So basically, when you ask me this question, I kind of struggled, right, to pick this brilliant human. But so for me, there has been a couple of people who really stood out during my journey, but also throughout my life. And I think first and foremost, the first one is definitely my brother. And I mean, he passed away in 2006, and he was 18 years older than I was. So there was like this age difference. But to me, he was definitely a brilliant person. And I think the biggest lesson that he taught me is that he really lived life to the fullest, right? So he was 41 when he passed away. He had a heart attack and a stroke. So it was very sudden. And I think the biggest gift really was that he always took everything out of life and grabbed everything out of life that he could. And I think that was like this biggest lesson that I actually took from him.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I'm so sorry that he's gone. I mean, 41, that's no age. And actually, my grandfather passed at 42 from a heart attack, which is just crazy. Because when you pass that age, which I did in January this year, you kind of go, how am I older than my granddad? Weird. And I'm sure you had the same with your brother.
Yeah, I had that last year. So I'm 40, or the year before even. So I'm 42 now. And for me, it was like this such a challenging period, actually, when I basically was approaching the 41. And I was like, well, I'm outliving my brother. And I really know it's not, but it's like the feeling is really, really weird.
It really puts things into perspective. But I think you're right. Having someone that you've looked up to who lives life to the fullest, it really makes you try and follow your own dreams. So I want to touch upon that, but let's go back because obviously 18 years, that's quite a difference, isn't it? So do you remember obviously you grew up and he was always in your life, but do you remember when you really started looking up to him as someone that was a little bit special?
I mean, so he was in tech, right? So that's also basically where my tech journey started, because when I actually thought of, well, I want to do something in tech, and I started doing a tech education here in the Netherlands, that was not very usual, right? I think there were 2 other girls in my classroom, so it was like not very common for a young girl to say, hey, I want to do something with IT and with tech. But since my brother was there already, I always saw him basically enjoying his work, traveling, doing all this cool stuff. And I still remember that there was a moment where I was like, yes, this is what I want to do as well. This is what looks really nice. And that's basically where my journey entered, because of course, obviously he has always been my brother in my life, but after the education I did, I entered his company as well. So we started working together. We started this entrepreneurial journey together. And that's also where you basically start to have a different view on somebody, right? Because you see all these other aspects of the person. And I think one of the other things that really stood out for me during that journey together is that he had this great combination of the commercial feeling, but also the technical and in-depth understanding of the business and of what he was doing. And I think that combination was also quite unusual, to say it like that, because I think the majority of the people is either technical or is either commercially or sales driven, right? But if you have that unique combination of both, so I started to actually see how he was driving his business, how he worked with customers. And I think at one point it kind of dawned on me that it was different.
You are right. You tend to get the owners that are either very, very technical people that have just sort of stumbled into it or decided to go on their own, or they're very commercially minded people that don't have that technical, and they have to hire those people. It is very unique when you find someone like that. So what was his particular business then? What was he doing that you went and joined?
Well, so I think when I joined the company, I mean, the niche market that we were in was basically in the backup and recovery in the data management area. So here in the Netherlands, we were one of the first data domain partners in the Netherlands. So that was basically when data domain was entering the market, developing the market, which was also something I really enjoyed, because building and growing and bringing new technology to the market is something that, well, both me and him really enjoy doing, right? Because I think it's a different way of running the business, different way of doing stuff. So that energy was also very, it was very, well, very special, actually.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? That startup kind of vibe.
It is a startup
It's exciting,
mentality.
it's fast, it's a bit scrappy. So at this point, I was going to say, it doesn't surprise me that you were doing karate, which is also very energetic, pretty scrappy.
God, yeah.
So at this point, when you've joined the business, were you doing karate at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. And how was he? How did he look upon that? Did he support you as a big brother and as a business partner?
Yeah, he definitely supported me along that journey. And I mean, it's like, that's also something that I'm really taking away. So he kind of was always there, which is nice, right? At least at the moments that really mattered to me. And I think that's also important, that you have people around you who are really there for you when it really, really matters. And so he was very supportive on my journey. I mean, he was also always joking about it, right? Because he was like, he was that kind of person as well, making jokes, actually keeping things grounded and a bit light as well, right? So fun was definitely something that was really important as well. If I would compare it to the work mentality, it was like work hard, play hard, right? And that's definitely something that really inspired me as well. And I also took that to karate. You always have to work hard. I believe you always have to work hard, but you have to recharge and balance and have the fun as well.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking just before we started recording about one of the things I loved about your talk was the comparison to elite sport and business, and that elite athletes look after themselves. They eat well, they sleep, they have sleep training, they rest, then they train hard, and then they compete hard, and they rest, and they eat well, and it's the full picture. You can't become a world champion just by training at 100%.
No.
And it sounds like he kind of embodied that in business as well.
Yeah. Yeah, now you're actually saying it like that. Yeah, I think he did. I really think he did.
And so if I was to meet him when you guys were in business, what sort of person would I meet? If I was a customer, you said he was really good with customers.
Yeah.
What words would I use if I was to meet him? Oh, we haven't even mentioned his name. What's his name?
Andre.
Andre. It's important we name Andre.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, if I met Andre, words would jump out at me about him.
I think the words that would come to mind would be open, transparent, honest, flexible, and I think a social person as well. It's about the lasting impression you actually make, I think, as well, because it's very interesting because I wrote a post about him in December because he passed away on the 12th of December. And I wrote a post about it last year. And I'm normally not that vocal about it on LinkedIn because, yeah, sometimes it feels right. Sometimes it doesn't. But I mean, he was in the industry as well. And I still receive messages from people who worked with him during that period, actually, while describing him or sharing things that happened or that they experienced with him. And for me, it's like, even after all these years, if you're still remembered like that, I mean, if people actually still tell you that he's still in their heart as well and still remembered and loved, I mean, that to me says it all.
Yeah. Isn't that the trick? I mean, I said this to just someone just today. I said, we're not going to remember Q1 results or the campaign that we put out about email security, but we are going to remember how we made each other feel and what we did. That's what we're going to remember about. I mean, it's that classic quote, isn't it? People don't remember what you say or do, but they remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true. So when you think about the biggest impact that Andre had on you, what is it the way that I said in the intro that he changed the way you see the world? How did he do that really?
So to me, I think that's basically the moment where I shaped my whole passion and drive to actually gain everything and to squeeze everything out of life. Because I mean, at that point, you're very much confronted with the vulnerability of life. That also normalizes a bit, to be honest, right? Because the years pass and things get like a normal place, a normal proportion. So that changes a bit. But I do believe that my passion to not live an ordinary life, but live an extraordinary life really comes from that point. Because I know how short it is. And I know how vulnerable everything is that we have, and that it's not a given like that. And that we really need to spend our time wisely. And I know a lot of it is cliche, right? But so often we just tend to go with the flow and go with the flow of the business of what we're doing, that we just keep forgetting how precious the time is and how precious the moments are.
It's so true and it's so powerful. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed.
No.
And we sometimes live like it is. We'll do that then and we'll put that away for a rainy day, and you might not get that rainy day. So I think you're absolutely right. Well, look, I mean, without dwelling on it too much, can you talk about, so how old were you? You were working together when sadly he passed. Can you describe that moment in your life? Because you said it was quite a pivotal time. So was this a complete surprise when he passed away? What really happened?
He had a heart attack and a stroke. So basically, we have been working till late one day, and then late during the evening, my sister-in-law, she called me, and basically that was the moment when we hit the hospital, and he died the day after. So it was like there was no goodbye, no processing, no anything, and it was December, so we were in the middle. I was 23 at the time. We were in the middle of actually closing the business, years end coming up and stuff like that. And like all of a sudden you just wake up and then life is different. It's really different. And it was like, I think the challenge for me as well was because since he was my brother and my business partner, that family life was like a disaster, but it had a big impact on the business side as well. So there was basically nowhere to run, nowhere to hide for me, right? Everywhere I was confronted with the whole situation.
Yeah.
So it was like really a tough period. And I think the biggest challenge for me as well was to figure out what I was going to do, because I mean, what are you going to do, right? Because I was totally not prepared for the situation.
No. And the irony being is that probably the one person you wanted around during that tough time at 23 was Andre.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the challenge was also because I was born and raised without a father, basically the father was just never present. At least my biological father was never present. So his role was, well, he had different roles in my life, basically. And I still remember the moment because after 3 months, I decided that I wanted to continue the business and that I was taking over his shares. And I still remember that moment as well when I went to the notary and when we signed the documentation and his shares were mine, that I actually entered the car and I think I just sat in the car and I was like crying for half an hour because I was like, oh my God, I just basically, well, moved you out of your company, right? It's like it was this whole transformation thing, but I really felt that it was the thing that he wanted for me as well.
Yeah. And he's and someone said recently, I encountered a bit of loss recently, and someone said they're still with you. They're
Oh,
still with you.
yes.
And
Yeah, I
actually you
believe
can
that.
talk to them and you can help them guide you. And you said something that really resonated with me there, Hendrika, which was and it kills me that you didn't get this, but you didn't get the goodbye. And I've been thinking about that a lot recently in that, just tell the people you love them, you love them. Don't ever go to, it's the cliches. Don't ever go to bed on an argument. Make sure you give that person a kiss. Just send your mate a message, just saying, I'm thinking about you. Hope you're well. You mean a lot to me. It's all those little things again, because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
No. No, like you said, I mean, tomorrow is not a given. On the other hand, I do believe, and I have the firm belief that things will go as they have to go, right? Things things will happen, situations will encounter, but for me, and maybe that's just my way of actually giving things a place, I do believe that things happen for a reason.
I'm with you. I think you're right. I think the last 12 months I've really been thinking of the phrase, you're in the right place at the right time for what you need right now. And sometimes
Yes.
that's uncomfortable, but out of uncomfortable you find your values, you find your purpose. And so you're 23, you've just taken on the whole company. How does this propel you into the next phase of your life then?
Yeah, that was like one thing I want to add to what you just said before I move into that is that, we tend to think what we need and what we want in life. But I think the majority of the time, the thing that we want is not always the thing that we need. Right?
Yeah.
It's right. If the universe just has a different plan for us, it's going to come anyway. It will hit you like one way or the other. So sometimes the plan for us is different than what we actually think the plan should be. So
I know in the military they say, the plans are great until first contact. And that's when
yes,
plans go out the window. And I think that's true of life. I think you can imagine you're going to be at the company for 10 years and then something fundamentally massive happens to you and it rocks your world. Or you can think, you're going to be doing something with someone for a long time and then
Yeah.
something happens and it pulls the carpet out from under you. So I think you're absolutely right. You're listening to the Brilliant Humans podcast where, here's the catch, no one is talking about themselves, only the brilliant human who has changed their life. If you've got someone you'd like to celebrate, drop us a note at brillianthumanspodcast@gmail.com.
Now, the thing, when they pull the rug on beneath, away from beneath you, then it comes down to resilience.
Mm.
And that's basically the thing that, Andre passing away, but that's also the thing that karate and that the people who played a fundamental role in my karate career, that's also the thing that they taught me.
So who were these people?
So there were basically two that were really important during my karate journey. And the first one is Suzuki Sensei. He was our grandmaster from Japan. And that was my sensei, Frank, who was also very important in that whole journey, because I think that, I did karate for over 20 years and I first started training somewhere else, but I think the majority of my career, I spent time basically training with Frank, which was really nice. But these people shape you as well. But I think the whole fundamental line of thinking beyond karate is also something that really changed me as a person, but also really changed my life and the way I look at life. And I think it's also the reason because when Andre passed away and I was basically building the company as well, karate really helped me on that journey to build the company and to eventually sell the company, because I built it 4 years after he died still. And then I basically sold the company, which was also a whole different phase.
I don't know a lot about karate. So what was it that Suzuki Sensei and Frank, what was it that they taught you that helped you guide you through that then? What are the principles that you learned?
So I think a couple of things that really stand out for me is, the humbleness, right? If I look at Suzuki Sensei, he was something, right? He shaped karate in this way in form, but he was the most humble person I think I ever met. And he really led this really simple life, if that makes sense. It wasn't about money or about anything externally. He had this, he had this really, basic life, but very full, a very rich life because of all the experience and everything that he brought. And I think that has also been a real game changer for me. So to be happy, it's not about what we achieve or what we have from a money perspective or stuff perspective. It's about that person that you really are on the inside.
And you used the word resilience. And I remember that word from your talk. You spoke about resilience being formed in the hard times. Resilience isn't something that you get when life's easy.
No.
Actually, that's the moment when you go, okay, I'm building resilience. Now, resilience is an endurance. I think that's really important to sort of point out. I think sometimes they get conflated. It's not about enduring just difficult times, but in those hard times, you can toughen yourself up. And I'd imagine karate had done that for you, and again, helped you get through this in a resilient way.
You have to train the muscle, right? Like you said, resilience is not something that you're born with, but you have to train the muscle. You have to build the muscle, and you can only do that by putting the muscle under pressure, right? So bad things will happen in life. Disappointment will come. It will hit us. And I had that with the karate career as well. And so to be honest, Frank, for example, I didn't always like him that much. He was a great trainer. He was a great coach, but sometimes he did things or he said things to me where I was like, what the F is your problem? Seriously, are you really, really saying this to me? I still remember because I got injured for a longer period of time. And then I started recovering and we were basically training towards an international tournament. And he was like, no pressure. It's nice that you're just participating. I was like, participating? Are you out of your mind? I'm not going just to fill the audience. I was like,
But did he say that because he knew you so well that he would get that reaction?
Yes, of course. But I think it was also that he didn't want to give me the pressure, right? He just wanted to give me the room and the space to recover and to rebuild myself. So his intention was very good, but it wasn't what I want to hear at that point in time, but it also because that also brought these times of balance. And that balance is also something that is really important that I'm taking from karate the rest of my life, like performing and recharging, right? Recovering and building that peak performance in a sustainable way, but also the discipline. The discipline is also something that is so important. And I think it's important for all aspects of life, and especially when you look at it at your career, right? From a business aspect, the discipline is like everything. Repetition is everything. And repetition is boring from time to time, right? But becoming a world champion is one thing, but then you need to have the mentality and the discipline to train and to grow like this not even 1% a day, but this 0.1% every day. Right? Because you have to
And I think you've described a fundamental difference between people that are pretty good and people that are great. And obviously, most people would have won a world championship and then kind of, where do you go from there? And you see it with Olympic athletes. I mean, there was the Italian sprinter who won the 100 meters at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games and then just couldn't do anything after that because he just kind of got there. But actually the true champions like you go, well, I've won the world championship. How do I then go and replicate that again and again? So, I mean, what I'm hearing is you had some really strong influences in your life. So you had Andre, who was the live life to the maximum, go big. And then you had the karate and your sensei and Frank, who were kind of a bit more balanced. Do you think all of that, got you to be the champion and the successful business person that you are today?
I think so. And one of the things that also really stuck with me now that you're saying it like this, it's like Frank and Suzuki Sensei, they kept me grounded, right? Because if you achieve all that, some people just cannot handle the pressure or they basically flip the other side and then the ego gets in the way. But I was never allowed. There was no room for ego because they always put me back in my place. Because when I thought I was really good, then Suzuki Sensei, what I shared on stage as well, he came with his wooden stick and he was like, "Oh, you're still too slow." Bam. Right. He would just push me because you need to stay grounded in order to challenge yourself, to grow and to get better every single day. You need that humbleness because if not, the ego really gets in the way. Right, you're gonna stay stuck.
There's a lovely quote about humility, and I'm probably going to get it wrong now, but it's humility is not thinking less of yourself; it's thinking of yourself less.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think you can have confidence and humility. I don't think they're mutually exclusive because you've got to have confidence to go out and win a karate world championship.
Yes.
But like you say,
Yes.
you've got to have that humility as well.
I mean, in your head, you need to start thinking and acting like you're already that world champion while you're not, right? Because you need to start believing that you can. And you need to build that muscle because if you don't do that, you will never become that person. Because I always say that eventually you'll become the person that you tell yourself that you are, right? You need to start telling yourself like an enormous amount of times that you're a world champion in order to become one.
Right, I'm going to start telling myself. I'm going to be a karate world champion.
You should, but then you need the discipline as well, right? You need to train for it.
I know that's never going to happen. I can tell myself all the. But I mean, just so I can understand the timeline. So, did Andre get to witness any of this huge success you had in karate?
No, he wasn't there the first time. He was still alive though the first time,
okay.
But he wasn't there. He wasn't actually there in Yugoslavia.
But
in
he knew
Italy,
you were world champion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he knew. And I actually went for it again the year after he passed away. I became second at that point in time. So, I mean, silver medal on the world championship is still very good. So I was still very happy.
That's a shame.
But it was like, well, it felt, I can tell you, I had a moment where it actually felt like that, right? Where I lost the finals at 0.1 point and I was so upset. It took me months actually to recover from that. I was so upset, so disappointed.
I can feel it now.
I know people really didn't understand me because everybody was happy because, you got a silver medal. And I was like, no, this is just not good.
Mindset. That's the winner's mindset. So
I mean,
us normal people would be like, you won a silver medal at the World Championship, but that's why. So you, the year after he passed, you got the silver.
Yeah.
And then you went on to win it again the following year, was it?
Was it the year after? I think 1 or 2 years after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, because we sort of said about it earlier about people stay with you, and I really believe you can have those conversations with people that are no longer here and they can guide you. Was he with how are you manifesting Andre for the second World Championship a couple of years after he wasn't here?
And it felt different, right? Because I mean, the reality is that your whole life is different at that point in time. But for me, and that's just my way of coping and dealing with it. My belief and my firm belief is that he's still there. that he's still like, I mean, sometimes with me, sometimes having his own journey. But I also have the firm belief that once it's my time and once I go, that he'll actually pick me up. So I kind of feel that he's always a bit part of that journey. But I mean, it's the same with Suzuki Sensei because he passed away as well. And I had the privilege of training with him one-on-one, I think like 4 times. And every single time it was like a curse and a blessing. But I can still hear him actually talking to me.
Yeah.
Like wasting time, wasting energy, Hendrika. And he was like very firm. And I still remember that, right? These moments of real impact, these are the things that you basically take with you in this whole journey of life. And some periods it's stronger, some periods it's a bit less strong, right?
So one of the things I love about this is that I get to hear about these brilliant humans that I have no right to meet. You know, I was never going to meet Suzuki Sensei. I was never going to meet Andre, but I learn from them and then I kind of carry them with me because of these conversations. So what do you think the biggest lessons they taught you that you would like to share with other people, including me?
I think that would definitely be like stay humble, keep humble as a person, but also keep pushing yourself and build the muscle and the discipline to keep growing and to challenge yourself and to not let your ego get in the way. Right? Don't think you're there yet because I think we're honestly never there yet.
Yeah. And do you think both of them would have that same message? Or is that more of Suzuki Sensei? Would Andre say the same thing? You know, he was an aspiring businessman.
Oh, he was like going all in. Just go all in. Just do whatever you think is right. But I mean, that's also right. Sometimes it's better to maybe regret some things than in a couple of years ask yourself the question, well, what if? And why didn't I? Right? That you actually regret that you didn't do something. And sometimes you just need to go for it. Right? And that's also one thing that whole period or that these people learned me is just ask yourself the question, what is the worst that could happen?
Yes.
I mean, what is the worst that could happen?
Yeah, it's so true. And if you keep asking that, it's funny because sometimes I do that and it's like, okay, but what is the worst that could happen? Okay, but what's the worst? And you keep asking it, and unless you get to I could die, then chances are it's probably worth just giving it a go. And there's lots of research, isn't there? I don't know if you've seen it, but there's lots of research about people's end of life, and they talk about they regret way more the things they never did than the things they did and failed at.
I mean, we either think we're not ready or we just keep on waiting for the perfect time, which will never come. We will never be 100% ready. And I think the reality is we're not sure how much time we're given anyway, right? And I mean, while you're still healthy and still capable, I think you should do and do everything that you really want to do. And I mean, if your motivation is big enough, you will always find a way to make things happen.
Sadly, we've run out of time. But I always finish with the same question. So you've chosen 3, so you can choose which one you want to say this to, or all 3 of them. But we always finish with this one. What would you like to say to your brilliant humans if you had the chance?
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a good question. You didn't prepare me for this one. Oh my gosh.
I think I did,
You
but that's
did?
okay. Maybe you subconsciously filtered it out, but yeah.
What I would want to say is that, oh my gosh. But maybe to all of them, that I'm grateful. That I'm grateful for the time that we got to spend. Even in some cases, the time was too short, but I'm grateful for the time that we had and that we could spend together. And I'm grateful for these elements that all of them gave me that really, really changed my life and that changed me who I am as a person today. So
That's
I'm
a perfect
grateful
answer.
for that fundamental role that they had.
I think that's a wonderful answer. And actually, do you know what? I'm super grateful because everything that they did for you led you to the stage that I saw you and meant that I got to hear your story and then asked you to come on this podcast. And it's just been so wonderful. And you've imparted so much wisdom that's really resonated with me. And I'm sure it will with the people listening and watching. So, Hendrika, you are also a brilliant person. Please continue going out and spreading the humanity that you are with business, because I think it's so, so important right now. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Brilliant Humans podcast. If you've got a brilliant human you'd like to celebrate, then email us at brillianthumanspodcast@gmail.com to find out how to share their story. Or if you've got someone you'd simply like to thank, why not tell them now? It might just make their day. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to follow, like, or leave us a comment. It really helps more people discover these brilliant stories. See you next time.